right, and here we are, ladies and gentlemen. I'm so excited to bring you this guest. I'm sure you've seen him out and around in the podcast world. He is absolutely killing it. I think he changed the game personally when it comes to this topic. We have David Weiss, the one and only Flat Earth Dave, as he is better known. It's so good to have you, Dave. I appreciate you coming on the show, man.
No worries, Kyle. Thanks for having me.
Well, Dave, I know you have your presentation. I'm excited to see it. But also, I just want to know, like, how are you, man? How you been with all this stuff going on with everything that's been happening in the world? How are you handling everything? Are you hopeful, I guess, is the question.
Yeah, no, that's such a big question. And first, I don't really have a presentation. I'm chewing on my own tongue. I like talking with people and answering questions. Your co-host was the not flat earther. I take it you pretty much are a non-glober.
Yeah, I think I'm on the fence. I was kind of waiting for this to actually like make a decision. You know what I mean? To really like break it down.
To come out of the closet.
I guess you could say that, Dave. But yeah, my co-host could make it tonight, but I can kind of be the devil's advocate that he is.
Sure. Let's do that.
Questions. So go ahead.
So answering your question, the world is in chaos right now, but I'm having a terrific time, a super terrific time, because I'm doing what my heart is telling me to do. I made decisions in the last 2 years, which are insane for my entire upbringing. You know, I threw everything away that I worked my entire life for, to take a chance. And it's just an amazing journey. So the world's upside down, but I know why it's upside down. And it's not because we're on a spinning ball and I'm spreading that message.
Well, I think what you just described is super important because it feels upside down to a lot of people. And I know, I mean, me personally, I haven't made that full jump, that leap of faith that you made to just really go for it as in regards to what I really want to do, what I feel my calling is. I'm taking baby steps, which, you know, is just, I think me as a person, that's kind of what I do. But I think a lot of people are really hesitant to even take that first step to really go do what they want to do. We see a lot of people doing it, you know, a lot of people quitting their bullshit jobs, doing, you know, an independent contracting kind of thing, like just are starting a small business, all these things. And I think that I don't think this would have happened or even had the question brought up without the last 2 years of fuckery. You know what I mean?
Sure. This whole, what I call the globe lie, is how they get away with everything. The way they've gotten away with the hypnotic trance they have the world in, falling for all of the nonsense, is because people are spinning out of control, lost in space. And they're just holding on to their childhood beliefs of you know, space and aliens and, you know, all sorts of stuff. But once you rip away that childhood belief system and look at the world with just, you know, with using your God-given common sense, it all starts coming around and you start taking your power back. And the analogy I like to use, you probably have heard it, I talk about Neo in the Matrix. And at the beginning, Neo's depressed. He's plugged into the mind matrix and he doesn't know who he is, doesn't know what the world is. He feels that something's wrong. His inner soul is talking to him. And then he gets unplugged from the Matrix. Then you look at Neo at the end of the movie and compare him to the Neo at the beginning of the movie. The Neo at the end took his power back, figured out who he is, figured out what the world is. And even though the world is completely different than, you know, his imaginary world in the beginning, he's better off for it because he's looking at the real world. And one of the quotes that he said in the movie, when they first took him out of the Matrix, he goes, "Why do my eyes hurt?" And the answer Morpheus gave, do you remember the answer?
Because they've been closed. Is that what he said?
Because you've never used them.
Oh,
so this is what waking up to flat Earth does. It opens your eyes, your metaphorical eyes, and you get to see the world for what it really is. And when you go outside, like if I go outside and walk anywhere in nature, just anywhere, I see the world for what it really is. It's mind blowing. Like when I walk through the woods, I'm like, those aren't rocks. That's a friggin' tree, you know? And you start seeing what's right in front of you your whole life. So we're going to teach you how to use your eyes. And really, this world is the biggest thing about flat Earth. one of the biggest things, there's so many big things about it,
Yeah.
is that never, ever, ever again will you have 1 second of boredom in your life.
Yeah, I
It
guess
doesn't matter if you're stuck in traffic, if you wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning, have insomnia, there's no one to talk to, you will not be bored. You will be looking at things, you will be researching, you'll be learning new things, you'll be figuring things out, you'll be planning experiments. There's no stop to it at all. Not a second of boredom.
Well, you talked about the awakening process, this kind of, alluring to the matrix of using your eyes for once, getting out of that mind meld. I've heard the story, but my 10 audience members might not have heard that story before. How did you get into this mindset? How did you discover not only flat Earth, but what it led you to? How did you get to where you are now? What was that moment for you?
It was a process, throughout my life. I always questioned everything. And then in my, I was working at for a corporation, doing the thing, working my way up. And I started questioning what money was. And I was like, what the heck is money? Where does money come from? And I found out everything we were never really taught about money in school. They taught you about, how to make a bill, Congress, all that nonsense. But what money is it's made by the Federal Reserve, and it's made out of thin air, and it's based on nothing. And the Federal Reserve isn't even federal. It's not even a government agency. It's run by a bunch of secretive bankers. They have nothing to do with the government. Yeah, it's a private.
It's as federal as FedEx. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what they say. And so that got me looking, and then I started looking into the IRS, and I'm like, oh my God, that's another private institution. There's nothing to do with the government. And then so my buddy Tim and I, we talked about it in the lunchroom every day, and a couple of people would gather around. And it got to the point where everyone in the lunchroom was waiting for Tim and I to come in and start talking about these different things. And we started, looking into, some other deceptions. And then we had an opportunity to do a podcast at a New York City. And I was like, let's go. And I didn't even know what a podcast was. He's like, it's a recorded radio show. I'm like, great, let's do it. And we did that every week for 3 years. And in the third year, a couple people started sending me flat Earth stuff. They started flat smacking me. They're like, hey, Dave, check this out.
Flat smacking? Is that what it's called?
That's what we call it, flat smacking. When you go up to somebody and you literally surprise them with flat Earth information, that's called a flat smacking.
Oh, that's great.
And so people started sending me flat Earth stuff. And, we're a pretty popular podcast. It was called Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole. It's still up on iTunes.
Yeah, I follow you guys.
Yeah. So I said, I wouldn't watch one. I'd like, this person's an idiot. I just delete the emails, and then they'd post on our Facebook page, and I'd delete the post, and I'd ban them from our Facebook. I'd ban them from our YouTube. I would just ban people. I'm like, you're an idiot. I'm not watching your stupid video, flat Earth. It's the dumbest thing ever. And then I realized, I've been brainwashed to think that. And then another researcher, Sophia Smallstorm, to be exact, she's like, Dave, I think the Earth might be flat. And I'm just like, I was dumbfounded. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? And she goes, here, watch these videos, right? And it's like, oh, you're getting your information from YouTube. I'm like, no, YouTube is just a source of, YouTube is like the world. It has everything in it. It has great information. It has a bunch of assholes in it. It has nonsense. It has everything. It's just a way for us to access information, right? So I watched your videos. And I'm like, okay, that's it. I'm just going to figure this out and prove the globe and put an end to this. And that's how you become a flat earther. You try to prove the globe or debunk flat Earth, and you too will lose the respect of your family and friends because you'll be a flat earther.
So you were trying to, you were like, fuck this, fuck these guys.
I went in with a closed mind. I went in, I'm going to prove the globe and prove this nonsense wrong. I didn't go in saying, let me look into this and see if there's any validity. I didn't go in. That's a proper way to go in. I went in biased. It's bullshit. And that's how you become a flat earther.
And you came out on the other side. Perhaps I would say a better person. Do you think that the flat Earth realization for you made it easier to look at other topics differently? Did you, or because you were already kind of looking into the Fed and the IRS and things like that, but was the flat Earth kind of what allowed you to analyze other topics in a different way?
Well, I was looking into all of the deception. I don't know how deep you go in the rabbit hole, but with all of the deceptive false flag events, all the deceptive bombings and shootings, just so you know, they're all deceptions. So and I was exposing them thoroughly. I did with my buddy in Australia, PK. We unwound the Boston bombing, which was. Are you familiar? The Boston bombing wasn't what they told us.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the Boston bombing, the Sandy school, I don't want to say the full thing because the bots will get us, and the event in New York City. And I called it exposing the big three because those three are so easy to expose. And I figure you wake people up to those, then they'll start seeing everything else. But I woke people up to those and they still go right back to work. They're like, whatever, those people, the administration's going to change, blah, 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 blah. And they just make excuses and they forget about it. I'm like, wow. So when Flat Earth came around, I'm like, this is the biggest. There's nothing bigger than Flat Earth. There's nothing. This is it. They're lying about the shape of the world that we're on, the construct, that they're hiding the creator. There's nothing bigger than this. That's not true. There's bigger things, which all relate to the flat Earth. So I thought flat Earth, that's it. There's nothing more. But then I started learning about Tartaria. Have you looked into Tartaria and the mud floods?
Yeah, and it's interesting story. So before it kind of got picked up by the truther podcasting community, I had heard about this from a Mexican guy in a bar in the little small town I'm in. I was just watching, I think I was watching like some alien video or something, and he's right next to me at the bar, and he's like, "Oh, what are you watching, man?" And I kind of told him, and he goes, "Have you heard about Tartaria, bro?" And I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? And he's like, "It's a lost civilization, man, a lost empire." And that was like 2 years before it kind of came into the quote unquote mainstream of the conspiracy podcast and truther community. And I mean, I looked it up immediately and just on Google, I think maybe DuckDuckGo, and it was like Tartaria's the empire of this time. What I was like, what the fuck? But what are your thoughts on it?
Well, Tartaria was a worldwide empire. It was here into the late 1800s, maybe even later. There was some sort of cataclysm, whether it was man-made, God-made, not sure, that reset the world. There seems to be a reset that goes on every 100 years, okay? Every 100 friggin' years.
Like a great reset? A great reset?
Yeah, like a great reset. 1920, everybody was wearing ritualistic shea muzzles and getting stuff stuck in their arm, and everybody died. Interesting. That was the Spanish flu. 1820, cholera. 1720, the bubonic plague. 1620, another one. Every 100 years, the same thing happens again. There's nothing new under our small local sun. So when you look into that, a channel that you should watch is John Levy. You watch John Levy?
No, I don't know. I don't know John Levy.
JONLEVI. He makes a 20-minute video, probably one a week, sometimes two. And just watch it. His last one called Mud Floods, and he's always looking at the mud floods, but this one was called Mud Floods. There's a civilization underneath us that is buried that people don't even talk about. It's everywhere. It's incredible. And this isn't speculation. This isn't conspiracy theory. This is proven. Dig a hole. There it is. Okay. And they just hide it in plain sight. They make up lies about it. And then the Tartarian Empire was an advanced civilization with, free energy technology. They built these buildings that we couldn't build today. And we're told, the settlers built those with horses and buggies. We couldn't do it with today's the most modern equipment we have, power tools and everything. We still couldn't do what they did back then.
Right.
So how did they do it? A whole different technology.
Yeah, I've heard of, I had Mark Steves on the show, and he kind of explained that Tartaria was even in the Americas. Like there's remnants of Tartarian
everywhere.
Everywhere. I just assumed it was
City.
Like Eastern European, maybe like into Asia a little bit. That's all my understanding was. But he brought
our Capitol building has another building underneath it.
Like an older building.
Like underneath it is more pillars and more floors buried in the mud below it.
I mean, I've just heard so much about Tartaria, and I don't know what to make of it. I know that we're being lied to. I know history is manipulated. I don't know if you've heard of this infamous 5-hour documentary that
the lost history of flat Earth. Very good.
Yes.
Again, you got to take it, weigh it, look at the information. Don't believe everything you hear. But they get into Tartaria a lot of information. Their theory about the moon being a map of the world and there being a greater Earth in our puddle migrating around every great year. I like it. I'm not swearing that's what's happening, but I'd like
to hear your thoughts on that, because that was kind of at the end of this long documentary, right? He talks about the Tartaria, the mud floods, the orphan trains, this lost technology, Nikola Tesla, and then at the end he ties in the moon, which I know from watching you and the shows you've been on. It's a touchy subject, the moon is, when it comes to flat Earth and how it relates to what we live on. And I didn't want to get super into the moon today, but how he you got the photo there. Yeah, break this down for me, because how he explains it is as if the moon is a reflection of the lands on Earth.
I don't know if it's a reflection is the right idea, but it is a map of the world. And was it a map at one point in time? Is it the projector of our reality? There's some sort of reflection, some sort of connection. I don't know what the right word is because I don't really know what it is, but all of this green is our known world.
Okay.
This inner circle here is the Tropic of Cancer. The next one is the equator. The next one's the Tropic of Capricorn. And the next one is the shoreline of our world pond, which is the melted area of our world. Our pond migrates in between the two tropics as it goes around. 6 months it goes out, 6 months it goes back in. And so it's melted out this pond. This right here is our North Pole. They tell us our North Pole is moving, right? Well, it is. Our North Pole is moving around this track. And it takes 25,000 years to go all the way around. Okay?
Oh, shit.
So in 12,000 years from now, our North Pole is going to be here. And our world is going to be here. Our puddle is going to be over here. So and this will be an ice age. This will be frozen. And when we come back, it might be mud flooded. With it freezing that long and melting, that could set everything underneath mud, and whatever sticks out, and so the world is reset.
So the green here and around the white circles, for those who are watching, the green is actually rotating around the red.
No. The green is not moving at all.
Not moving at all. Okay.
Just the magnetic north is moving, which moves our sun. So imagine you go outside, you got a big section of snowy ground, and you get a heat lamp and you just circle it around until it melts out a puddle. And then you slowly, while it's circling around, you slowly move it around a bigger track. Well, that puddle's going to freeze up and the puddle's going to move. So this puddle, this is the puddle right here. This puddle is going to move all the way around the track.
So that's why the puddle moves. An ice age or a mud flood or something could happen.
So in 12,000 years, this will all melt and this will all be frozen. In 6,000 years, it'll be over here and this will be frozen. Okay. So because our sun is moving, this is our greater Earth. Now, this is a possibility. It's not 100%. I like it.
It's just connecting the information in that documentary to the flat Earth information that to be true. And I mean, like I said, that documentary tied in so many things. We were talking about Tartaria, about the lost technology. Do you think that we still have access to that technology and perhaps the archaeological information that proves this flat Earth, that proves that there, or even not just the flat Earth, but maybe this larger terraria plane that we see here?
Yeah. So, Nikola Tesla, he had that Tartarian information, and Edward Lee Scallion, who built Coral Castle. There are people that have brought that knowledge forward, but it's all been taken away. It's all been hidden. They basically killed Tesla, and they stole the information, and they're hiding it because if everyone had access to free energy, well, they couldn't control us. They control us with energy, with fake money, with monopoly money, and with the lie of where we live, thinking that, there's no more water. We're running out of water, running out of food, we're running out of land. It's all bullshit. There's infinite land. There's infinite water. There's infinite food. There's no shortage of anything, but they want us believing that. They want us not being able to expand our thoughts out and manifest the world that we're meant to manifest, our truest, greatest self, because we're in this mental prison and they're controlling us just like Neo in the Matrix. They're literally controlling our mind. They steer our minds with the news, north, east, west, south, news, NEWS.
Yeah, that's a good point. I never thought of that. I mean,
Yeah.
I had a guest on the other day and I was talking about the Rittenhouse trial. You know, that's something that's topical at the moment right now. And I was saying, man, I've been watching this live stream. I've been checking Twitter, all this stuff. And he goes, why? Why are you doing that? He's like, you can just wait a week and find out all the information all at once. And I was like,
so
I
don't know what happened with this. I don't know if he really killed people, if he was hypnotized to kill people, if he was told to kill people, or if it's all a bunch of staged nonsense. I don't know, but I know it's bullshit. He shot a thief in the arm. He shot a pedophile in the groin, and he shot a man that supposedly strangled his wife in the lungs. Okay? That is written like a fucking Shakespeare script. Okay?
That's exactly Shakespeare. Oh my God.
Yeah. It's bullshit. It's a bullshit narrative. Now, maybe something really happened and they like, okay, let's take this crisis. Never let a good crisis go to waste. That is the I don't want to say the most probable because I think it's faker than that, but that is a possibility of what they're doing here. Okay? I think this is all the world is a stage. You know who said the world's a stage?
Shakespeare. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you know that Shakespeare never existed?
I've heard that theory.
Okay, so the guy that said the world's a stage is a stage bullshit actor, right? Not real.
Yeah.
That's how much the world is a stage.
I'm waiting to find someone who can go on, because I've been asking about this theory for a long time, because I went to acting school, right? Like I'm a trained Shakespearean actor. Shakespeare was actually my emphasis in college. And so I love Shakespeare, the work of it. But I have heard multiple different theories in regards to Shakespeare, that he didn't exist. He was this guy. He was this guy. It was a conglomeration of all these things. And then when you throw in the messing with the timeline, he could have been it could have been 100 years ago that Shakespeare was around instead of, 500 or 600, 400 years ago, wherever it was that he is in the official timeline. So the fact that our history itself is in question opens up the possibility to all these historical figures, these writers, these authors, these historical figures. Were they even real? It's impossible to know, because all I know for sure is what I see with my eyes and what I hear and what my gut, because I believe the gut is important. Your heart of hearts or whatever is telling you something. And that's all you really know to be true. You know what I mean? Everything else is just hearsay.
Right. Everything before the early 1900s is bullshit at this point, right? All of our people from the past that, Galileo and Aristophanes, they're all made up stories. I don't think these people ever existed. Okay. People are like, well, they're Freemasons. Look, right. Well, maybe they're created by the Freemasons, right? Yeah. King George might've been George Washington, right? We don't know anything. People say, we knew that the earth was flat. The Greeks figured it out 2,000 years ago, but they forgot to tell the public school system here in America, because in the 1920s, this woman, Ruth, was taught in Connecticut public schools that the earth is flat. Okay?
Yeah.
In Connecticut public schools across the country, across the world. We found people in Croatia that all through the 1930s, they still taught flat earth. They probably still teach it in some schools there. And it's not that they're held back. It's that they're not corrupted, right? And so, the world wars are part of the reset. They're just part of the reset. It's to displace everybody. It's to get people only focusing on what they want. It's part of the depopulation. They you know about the Georgia Guidestones? I assume you do.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And the Georgia Guidestones say that they want the world population to go down to never to rise above 500 million again, right?
Billion, yeah.
That's a problem if you believe the current population of 7 or 8 billion.
Yeah.
I personally think it's less than 2 billion, but it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter what it is, right? Georgia Guidestones, it's like not like they wrote it in stone. Oh, they did write it in stone. So what's going to happen? Is this thing going to take care of that? Or is there another mud flood coming? Or is something else coming? Is there a plasma event? We don't know. We don't know.
Yeah, I've seen a lot in the last year, even in the last few weeks, a lot about so-called Planet X, Nibiru. I'm curious as to what your thoughts are on that, but I've heard, the whole climate change narrative is to actually bring about a cataclysmic event as far as changing how the weather and catastrophic events can happen. And then the medical procedure that's taking place. I try to be careful with it too, because I do want to put it on YouTube. But I mean, look at how many people are dying now. I mean, it's just as many people have died before we had this medical procedure as have died since we've had it, if not more.
There's a back when they had the thing that goes in your arm for what was it, swine flu, and they had the V for that. They 25 people were no more after it, and they pulled it off the market worldwide.
Yeah, immediately.
According to the Center for Disease Creation, 20,000 people in the USA are no longer breathing within 2 or 3 days after getting the experiment stuck in their body.
And that's
right?
According to the official numbers.
That's the official number, and that they admit is only 1 to 10% of the total number. Okay.
Right.
And that nobody notices. Nobody notices, right? And now they're talking about, that children, between the ages of 5 and 12, they have heart attacks too. Did you know that? They have strokes also.
It's caused by climate change, actually.
Yeah, climate change, and then the new flu also causes that. They're saying, it's amazing. It's amazing, and
they're trying to get ahead of it. Yeah,
people just buy into this crap. It's unreal. It's unreal.
Yeah, I mean, we're seeing so much, and I think they're learning from their mistakes. But at the same time, I think this is a death rattle. All this is bullshit, propaganda, the lying, the gaslighting wouldn't be necessary if people were if we were winning, the information war, as Alex Jones says. But I think a lot of people at the same time are realizing this stuff. I mean, look at how our community has grown over the last year. I'm having my conversations with my mom, even that I never
people
thought
are waking up. People are tired of the nonsense. They're actually being forced to wake up, and I think that might even be on purpose, which sounds like counterintuitive for what they're doing. But I think this is really an intelligence test, and maybe there needs to be a reset. Maybe it's something that we don't understand, and maybe they're like, you know what, we're going to reset this place. Let's get rid of the dumb people and keep the smart people, so the next round will be even better.
That's something I've questioned myself, because why would they? People say, I'm saying like, hey, these things are killing everybody. You're all going to be dead in the next 3 to 5 years, yada yada yada. And they're like, why would they kill the people who do what they say? And I'm like, probably because they don't respect them. You know what I mean? They probably are like, fuck all these dumbasses. Why not at least have the people who might understand if we flip the switch on them what's going on. That's an interesting thought. I'm glad you as soon as you said something just a second ago, I was like, oh, this is a true conspiratorial mind as myself, because I even question the conspiracies that come about, because
it's not a conspiratorial mind. I guess it is, but they've hijacked that word conspiracy theory. It's more of a look at the fucking facts and look at what's going on and use your God-given common sense and stop believing nonsense. We Jaron from Jaronism and we went on a show the other day, a big podcast, and they're basically theoretical physicists, right? Theoretical physicists. Everything they said is theoretical, and they're so brainwashed, they can't see any of the logic. They just like, well, we know Alpha Centauri is 14 trillion miles away. I'm like, how do you know that? He goes, well, we used parallax. I'm like, well, what did you make a parallax with? The stars? Yeah. Well, how do you know how far the stars are? Well, it's because we know the distance to Alpha Centauri. Like, you can't just make up shit, but they can't see it. They can't see it. And then, I showed them some fake stuff from NASA, and they just make up excuses.
Oh, I would love
unreal.
I would love to see what you have on the NASA.
Wait, so I should have done this to them. I should have said, I'm going to show you something, and it's either a real video or it's a faked video of a rocket going up. Okay. And so we watch this and we have a camera view. We can kind of see the height because of the angle we're looking at it from the ground here. You can still see we still got a side view here. But when we go to the onboard camera, it kind of looks pretty high. Now it looks kind of low again. All right. And now the engine is actually about to turn off its high again. And the engine's off. And now this thing is 40,000 pounds falling out of the sky. Look at the speed that the smoke is coming off of this thing. And tell me if this is free falling. What?
I mean, it's
look at the smoke. Look at the speed. It's barely moving, right? If you threw a Mack truck off of the Empire State Building, it would fall a little faster. Now look how high it is all of a sudden. Okay, right? The onboard picture, and now this thing's free falling. Okay, and now watch. Now, oh, look how high it is all of a sudden. And then the next shot, the engines are going to come on. It's going to turn upright. Watch. It's going to stabilize itself, right? With these three little engines, the camera edits goes right below it. Now, two of the three
right here.
Hold on. Two of the three engines are going to go out. Now look at the speed. Look at the smoke, right? Imagine holding a smoking smoke bomb out the car at 50 miles an hour, right? And then all of this, what is this? Smoke, steam? This is CGI smoke.
Dirt.
And then it lands. So now I say to you, was that real or really fake?
Oh, that for sure. That last 30 seconds of when you see it at this kind of angle and it comes down, that I can tell with my naked eye that was CGI.
So the whole thing was an unedited clip from SpaceX. Okay, this is what they say they're going to go to Mars with, and they could land vertically now, right? And the way these guys go, that's real. They go, that's real, because if they said it wasn't real, then you have to unwind it all the way to we never went to the moon. Okay. And one of the ways they know it's real is there was a previous one they did that landed and fell over and exploded.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, you're going to fake some failures so it's more believable of a story. But even the one where it exploded, they had problems with the CGI. In the middle of the explosion, the rocket appeared for a second and then disappeared, right? It glitched.
What?
There's and I think they do this on purpose sometimes. It's unreal how fake this stuff is, and then people just can't see it.
Rising while we're watching it fall. It looks like it's going up while we're watching it fall.
Yeah. And then this is what I call the 2-pack rocket. Now they do all different sorts of fakery. Sometimes they launch something and it leaves a smoke trail. When it doesn't leave a smoke trail, it's because it's not really there. It's a fake rocket. Look, there's no smoke trail. It's just smoke coming out of the ground, right? And then it edit. Now look. This thing is a projection. This is actually a projected hologram. Okay. You've heard about the cities floating in the sky. We found these weird spotlights on NASA's lawn in some photos. We zoomed in on them and we got a serial number or a name, and we looked it up. It's a holographic projection company. Look, and there was an error and the top half of the rocket disappeared.
Oh my God.
Okay.
And it comes back. Oh my.
Yeah.
I've never seen this before. This is amazing.
Because they pulled this down right after it happened because they showed it live. That's why they rarely ever show this stuff live anymore. Yeah. And when they do, it's just nonsense. It's just nonsense.
They don't announce the rocket launches anymore. You hear about these things, like especially over California when Tesla was there in the middle of the night, this bright blue comet pattern would just appear. And then everyone would be like, what the fuck is that? Because it lit up the whole sky. And then they're like, oh, that was a Tesla rocket. And I've never, they don't announce these things.
Yeah. So think about this. Where do you live? What state do you live in?
I'm in the great state of Texas, sir.
So have you've ever have a tornado or a hurricane?
Yeah, all the time.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you know what high winds do. 150-mile-an-hour winds are devastating. 200-mile-an-hour winds rip houses down. A tornado, which could be 300 miles an hour, will turn a telephone pole into toothpicks. Will take a fence, a signpost, tie it into knots, right?
Yeah.
Okay. That's 300-mile-an-hour winds of 60, 70, 80 degree wind air. Okay, just room temperature. This thing weighs 4 million pounds. It's shooting out superheated plasma. Okay, and it's coming out at over 17,000 miles an hour because the thing goes faster than that. And it's and the amount of thrust is lifting up 4 million pounds. The fence Everything here should be pulverized. This fence doesn't even wiggle. It doesn't bend over, right? A 300-mile-an-hour wind would rip this fence. It would bend it in half.
Yeah.
Easily. But this thing is going to lift 4 million pounds, and the fence doesn't even move. Nothing. This is all smoke coming out of the ground. Now, this is going up. What's going up here? I say this entire thing is a helium balloon with a little bit of thrust coming out of the bottom and a lot of lights, bright lights lighting up the smoke. And it goes up. That's why it goes so slow. That's why the space shuttle rolls on its back, because that the orange external tank, which is like 20,000 pounds empty, they tell us, is actually a helium blimp. Okay. And I'm going to prove it to you in a second. So this is going up, leaving the trail. So there is something there, but it's going really slow, right? This thing, I would say, looking at the winds here, I don't know. I think it's going less than 100 miles an hour. Okay. This thing has to get to 20,000 miles an hour to get out of orbit. Okay. So these external solid fuel boosters, they constantly tell us cannot be turned off. Right. And then at one point there's explosive and it lets them go. I'll show it again. How are they going? How are they keeping up with the thing? Now they're going sideways. They're going sideways right here. Shouldn't they quickly fly out of the way?
Yeah,
right?
Fall back. They're going so slow though.
Right. But when we see this, watch, we see it and we hear it at the exact same time. This thing is 30 miles downrange. What's the problem with seeing and hearing at the same time?
Yeah, light travels faster than the sound.
Right. If it was 20 miles, we wouldn't hear it for 90 seconds. There would be a 90-second delay, a minute and a half delay, if it was only 20 miles away.
And they at the same time, yeah.
And we hear it at the same time. This is edited. See, these people, they're nowhere near this thing. They edit it to make you think they're right there. They're so far away, it's tiny. They can barely see it.
It's so small, yeah.
Yeah, look, they make it look like they're right there. They're not. They're like 10, 15 miles away. Okay? Now, here's the problem. The external tank is falling back to Earth. The guys on the shuttle are accelerating into space. They're filming this thing. How are they filming it?
Oh, this thing's shuttle, they're filming this?
They're filming it from the window in the shuttle. Now watch right here. Watch, a piece of paper is going to float by. Ready? 3, 2, 1. And there it goes. See it?
What was that?
Okay. That was like a handkerchief or something. But that's just showing you how fast this thing is going. Not very fast at all. If I threw a Mack truck out of an airplane, how fast before you couldn't see it? I'd say 5 seconds and it's out of your sight.
Yeah.
They're on their way up. This is on its way down. Does this look like 20,000 pounds, 40,000 pounds falling out of the sky? Or does this look like a Macy's Day Parade balloon?
Yeah, it looks like a little inflatable dildo.
It's gigantic.
Yeah.
And the question is, are we looking down at it or are we looking up at it?
Yeah, because they'd have to be constantly zooming in too. If they're moving away from this
they're moving away, even if they were staying still, like they were in a balloon, whatever. Okay. This thing would be falling so fast, right? That it would just be out of sight in no time.
And I've never seen this footage before, which is insane.
Right. And then another thing is, so now it's getting, the theoretical physicist guy's like, well, look, it is getting farther away. Yeah, like it is getting a little farther away. Like there's no way you could zoom in on something falling that fast.
Yeah.
There's no way. It falls so fast. This thing, and it's supposedly going to burn up before it gets to these clouds. Now watch carefully. I don't know if in this video you're going to see something in the background here, which I say is the recovery vehicle that's going to get it. And it's, for lack of a better word, it's cloaked. See it? Did you see it? There it is. There it is.
Chasing after it, yeah.
Yeah. And so it got on film for a moment. But here's the question are we filming it from the top or are we filming this from the bottom?
Well, it's hard to say because the clouds, those look like clouds.
How about this?
I look up.
This is from the International Space Station. We're looking down at the ocean, obviously, right?
Yeah. Well, it could be clouds looking up. They look the same.
Right. So this is how easy it is to fool you because this was filmed in our front yard and we just turned it upside down. Okay.
Oh my God.
And So imagine if I did that with, well, I didn't do it. One of our guys did it with zero budget, zero budget.
Zero.
Okay. And imagine if I had $65 million, what I could do. Imagine if I had $65 million every single day. Okay. NASA's budget. Watch him when he jumps. Okay. When he jumps, bye-bye, he's gone. That's it.
Way faster than
he's gone. And this thing would be falling faster than him.
Yeah. Oh my God. No, okay. I keep watching the clouds behind this, and it looks like the clouds looking up.
Yeah. And so who is the largest consumer of helium in the world?
Oh, it's NASA.
And you know they own all of the helium companies in the world?
I didn't know they owned them. I mean,
they own all of the helium companies in the world. They control the helium supply because, God forbid, people had access to infinite helium, which there is. Then we could build airships and we could travel wherever the hell we wanted with a solar panel and a fan.
Yeah, I mean, I live in West Texas where a lot of helium is produced. And the video you're showing now, I found out a few years ago that I think it was like an article or something that like 90% of NASA satellites are launched via balloon.
All of them. None of them are going to space. There's no satellites in space. The idea of satellites in space is a fantasy. It's the most ridiculous fantasy ever. So if you believe in the heliocentric model, as I'm searching for this picture because I am switching. What's that?
Say, though, I'm not saying that you're wrong. That I'm just saying that it was like a mainstream article or something that said like most of the satellites are launched via balloon, which most people think, oh no, they're launched with a little rocket, they go up and yada yada yada. But I mean that ICE video you just showed, they're launching or quote unquote launching all these satellites with balloons that can take them supposedly into high Earth orbit. You know what I mean?
Right. So you have to believe that all of these satellites, they're not floating in space. They're falling around the Earth. They're traveling the same linear distance as the drop is. So every time they move a mile forward, they're falling a mile, but the Earth drop is a mile. So somehow they're magically just falling around the Earth. Okay. Mm-hmm. And they never hit the Earth. This is a mental mind experiment. Okay. A geostationary satellite is a satellite that stays over the same point of land. Okay, so it's at the height where it falls around the Earth, where it only goes around once a day, equal to the spin, right? So it stays right over whatever piece of land it's over. It stays right there. Okay,
right.
So keep that in mind. So the Earth is spinning at 1,000 miles an hour. So that satellite is up in the air. It has to go faster than 1,000 miles an hour just to keep up with the Earth because it's making a bigger circle than the surface of the Earth. Mm-hmm. The Earth is also orbiting around the sun at 66,600 miles an hour. So while it's falling around the Earth, trying to stay over that same land, the Earth is going around the sun, speeding up and slowing down, and that satellite is matching that while it's spinning.
Okay.
At the same time, the sun is flying forward, chasing the sun at 500,000 miles an hour. And somehow all of those satellites know to match all of those different motions going through free space at all different times.
Yeah.
Your brain should be melting at this point because this is absolutely ridiculous.
I'm just watching this video behind you, and that looks so ridiculous. It looks so ridiculous.
This is what you have to believe. But wait, there's more. Okay. So this is the hypersonic track sled, and this is without sound. And if you heard it, it blows your mind. It's going to go by. Did you see it? It went by a Mach 8.6. Watch again.
I didn't see it.
Okay, what? Don't blink. And even if you don't blink, you're not going to be able to see it. Ready? Here it comes.
No, I saw it flash a light. Okay.
Yeah. So it goes by at Mach 8.6. Well, Mach 8.6 is 1/10 of the speed of the orbit. So we're orbiting 10 times faster than this. We're chasing the sun at 100 times faster than this rocket sled. But when we go out into nature, this is what we see. Mm-hmm. Who lies, men or nature?
Yeah. I don't think nature can lie. In my opinion, I don't think it can.
Right.
I mean,
Look at this water. It's perfectly still. It's telling you we're perfectly still. Water is perfectly level, testably, scientifically, provably level. And if we lived on a ball 24,901 miles around, like Neil deGrasse Tyson, the failed actor, tells us, there should be curvature. And it's not too big to see because they tell us we see boats going over the horizon. You know, according to their math, there should be 6 feet of curvature at just 3 miles. 6 feet at 3 miles. 66 feet at 10 miles. And we can see with our naked eye that far. And we can see that there is no curvature.
Yeah.
People just don't connect it.
Yeah. And I mean, I live, like I said, I live in West Texas, and I can, if you can find a high point, because everything's very flat, but if you can find a tall building or a hill or something, I mean, I can see so far. So
yeah. But the atmosphere is actually thick. And as you go, it gets lighter and lighter and lighter, and then it just kind of turns into sky. There's more mountains out here. You just can't see them because the air becomes too thick. It's like looking across a 100-yard swimming pool underwater. You can't see the far wall, right? If I drew a smiley face on this far wall, you couldn't see it. But if I had a light on that wall, you could see the light because the light's more powerful than just the light that bounces off of the smiley face. But if I look up through just a little bit of water, I could see the lights on the ceiling, which are way, way higher, on a super high ceiling. And that's because, when you look up, the air is thinner and you're seeing more. But when you look across the air, it becomes opaque.
Yeah. And there's so much water vapor in the air too, that
100%.
People complain about, greenhouse gases and stuff. The number one greenhouse gas is water. I mean, water vapor, it encompasses so much of our atmosphere. All right, so what are we looking at here? This is Soleil de
Lar, whatever. What is it called? It's the Great Salt Flats in Bolivia, I think.
Okay.
And you can see way, way too far, but the clouds that are 5 or 10,000 feet over your head at 20, 30 miles away, they just merge in with the horizon.
Yeah.
Okay. They just merge in with, and so your eyes just can't see any farther. And it's not because of curvature. It's just because that's how perspective works. Like out here, you can't see a boat, but there is a boat out here. As we zoom in, we're making that bigger. And as we make it bigger, there's the boat.
There it is. Yeah.
Okay. Because I'm zooming in and making its angular size bigger. Right. Yeah. And so when I zoom out, this boat's not moving. It's not going over a curve. It's just like it's going away by me zooming out. You watch, it disappears from the bottom up. And that's because these waves here in the foreground are bigger because they're closer and they just block out the boat. And the angular size of the boat disappears and you can't see it. It's just angular resolution limits of your eyes.
I mean, anyone who's taken like a basic art class, you learn about like forced perspective. And I mean, that's such a big thing. Like that picture you showed of the clouds. I mean, that looks like an art class textbook drawing of forced perspective, where things are getting smaller as they get far away from you at a specific angle relative to whatever you're looking at. But yeah, I mean that, and of course it makes sense if you zoom, if you can magnify where those angles meet, then the object gets bigger. Okay, what are we looking at here?
So we're looking at that line. Is that level? Is that line that that light is going across level? Looks level, right?
Yeah,
it's level.
Looking at it from an angle. So.
And so here's the counter. And here is this. This could be the skyline. It could be city skyline, mountains. It could just be a cloud deck. But that stayed above it and was level. Now I have a camera on the counter on the other side watching the same thing. Now if I showed you this line first, I'd say, is this level? And you'd say, no, it's going down. And I'd say, is this going below this horizon? Because this is now at my eye level, even though I'm lower than it. Yeah. Right? Even though I'm on the counter, it looks like it's at eye level. And now look at the line. It almost looks like it's going almost straight down.
Yeah.
And so that's the sun. So now let's compare it to a real sunset. The sun goes down as it goes away, and then it gets cut off. Look, it's not going behind this horizon. It's going behind this atmospheric deck of opacity.
Oh, my gosh.
Okay. But if I zoomed out, that point where the sun on the right is getting cut off right there, and that apparent horizon on the ground, if I zoomed out, those two would just merge into each other and you wouldn't even be able to see. It would look like it's going below the Earth curve because of your mental mind programming.
That's an interesting experiment. You always have new stuff, Dave. I love it. This is fascinating.
That's not that new, but you just new to you. It's good.
Yeah,
It's good.
I love it. This is fantastic. Yeah, because it. I have never seen the sun. I mean, I'm sure I have, but I haven't. I don't think I've taken a mental note of it. But just looking at it, like that last photo, that last video you showed of it, not even disappearing below the horizon, but much ahead of the horizon. You know what I mean? I've never really noticed that, and I'm sure I see it all the time.
Yeah, this is a shot in Afghanistan of the sun, super clear, super dry, and you can clearly see the sun is just moving away, getting dimmer because of the thickness of the atmosphere.
Yeah, it's getting smaller
until it just goes away. It is getting smaller because it's not being magnified by the light, by the water in the air, and it just moves away. The fool on the hill sees the sun going down, but the eyes in his head see the world spinning round.
Oh, shit. It's right in front of you.
Yeah. So here's a question for you. Are you on the top of a ball falling over backwards faster than the speed of sound? Or is that light just moving away from you?
Oh, it's just moving. It's just moving.
Right. But you have to believe that you're falling over backwards faster than the speed of sound if you believe you live on a globe.
Yeah.
Do you have my app?
No, I don't have your app. It's the Flat Earth app.
Flat Earth, Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app. Let me share it with you and show you a couple things, and we'll go from there.
Okay.
So, you know about my app?
Yeah, I've heard about it. I've seen it. I've seen other people use it.
Yeah. So, just real quick, the sky is a perfect clock, which is impossible in a heliocentric beehive solar system. It would never repeat. Things would never repeat. The sun keeps track of the hours and days. It laps the moon once a month. And the moon's phases and position keep track of the weeks and months. And then if I turn on the stars keep track of the seasons and years. The stars will lap the moon once a year. So the sun itself will slowly fade into the zodiac behind it. And then a month later, it'll be in the next one. A month later, it'll be in the next one. That's how it's in each zodiac. Got it?
Yeah, throughout the year. Yeah,
throughout the year.
I don't know too much about the about the zodiacs. I've tried so hard to wrap my head around it, and
that's all right. Just know that the stars, sun, and moon all rise in the east and set in the west, no matter where you are.
Mm-hmm.
Forget this clockwise and counterclockwise stuff, because that just has to do with the way that you're facing. So. Do you see the two yellow lines? The outer yellow line is the Tropic of Capricorn, and the inner yellow line is the Tropic of Cancer. So if I jump the sun forward to December, in December, it's summer in Australia. Why? Because the sun is directly over Australia, right? The sun comes right over Australia. It's high in the sky, and it's cold I'm here in Connecticut. It's cold because the sun never gets close to Connecticut. It's way down here, okay? So 6 months later, so it's summer in South Africa, it's summer in Central America, right? Because the sun's going to come right over that. But it's winter in the north because we're far away from the sun. 6 months later, the sun goes all the way to the Tropic of Cancer. It's hot in Miami. Why is it hot in Miami? Because the sun is directly over them at noon. Okay, it's hot in Mexico, California. It's cold in Santiago, in South Africa, in southern Australia, because the sun is far away. That's how seasons work. It's very simple.
That's crazy. And I when a minute ago when the sun was down by in South America, I noticed Argentina. It's a little farther, quote unquote, south. And so that's why Argentina stays, or at least the southern tip of it stays pretty cold all year. Cause
and the sun never gets close to it.
Yeah.
Right. Super cold.
That's why they hang out there. Yeah.
Yeah. And so the North Pole, they call the Arctic. What they claim is the South Pole, they call the Antarctic, but they use their words very carefully. If you are in the north, so the north is anything inside the equator, with the red line is the north.
Mm-hmm.
The outside is the south. Anything outside of the red line, anything between the two yellow lines is the tropics. So anything inside this yellow line, the Tropic of Cancer, we'll call that the Arctic region. And anything outside this outer yellow line, the Tropic of Capricorn, we'll call the Antarctic region. With me?
Yeah.
So where do we live? Do we live in the Antarctic region or the Arctic region?
Arctic.
Okay. And what is the sun doing every day? Is it arcing around us? Arcing around us. It's arcing around us. Look, I'll speed it up. It's arcing around us. That's the best way to describe it, right?
Yeah.
The Arctic. Now, what if I was out here in Santiago or out here in Antarctica? Is it arcing around me? No, it's coming towards me and then it's going away. It's antarcing.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Antarctic.
Okay.
And the Arctic.
Okay.
They're talking about the sun.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I know there's word magic at play here, but
totally.
Part of this. I mean, we know that our language is manipulated to serve a purpose.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on Antarctica? Do you see it as I know
it's off limits to everybody. If I hit the little images here and I go down, how do they keep it off limits to everybody? You remember the Falklands War? Remember the I don't know if you remember, you might be too young.
Yeah, I'm only 25, Dave.
Okay, so there was this weird war in this island south of New Zealand, and they took control of it. So these 8 islands are where these are crown United Nations military bases where they're guarding the shoreline of Antarctica. No one's allowed to go there. Okay, the Antarctic Treaty says nobody is allowed to go below outwards of 60 degrees south without a permit, and you can't get a permit. It costs you hundreds of thousands of dollars to apply. It'll take years before they deny you, and then they keep your money. So that's how they keep track of that. But real quick, and I'll get out of the app. Every day there's a new featured video. I just tell people, just watch the featured video every day for 2 weeks, and then you will know that you don't live on a globe. If you still think you live on a globe, hit the question mark, and up come every single question you're going to ask me. What about gravity? What about seasons? What about ships over the horizon? If I hit ships over the horizon, up comes a playlist that YouTube will not serve you. These are videos that'll teach you about the horizon, but they're all kind of shadow banned. But this bypasses their algorithms and will get you all of the information that you need.
Yeah, because otherwise you look that up, you'll never find it. You'll never find it.
If I hit the web button, this is all sorts of other useful information. Middle row on the right, mud floods Sataria. You hit that button, bring food and water because you're not coming out for a long time. Right. And then the top right, lost history of flat earth. Right. You watched the 5-hour documentary, right?
Yeah. And then he had another 8-hour one, which I'm like halfway through right now.
Right. But there's another one. The second one on the list just came out a couple weeks ago. He made a part 8.
Oh,
okay. Yeah, it's the next hour and 20 minutes after the 5 hours, and it's stellar. It's stellar, and then also all of these other ones, the other series in here also.
Wow, I mean, I'm downloading the app right now, so I've heard of it. It's not nothing against you. It's just I'm like, oh man, I hate buying apps, but
well, here's the thing: it's $3. And there is a subscription. You don't need to subscribe. All right. I'll explain that in a second. You don't need to subscribe. You get plenty. There's no need to subscribe. All right. But your co-host, Biblical Flat Earth, right there in the middle.
Yeah. I had some questions prepared for you on that. If that's something you wanted to get in.
We can touch on it. I'm not the biblical guy, but I probably know the answers. But if you like the Bible, if you live by the Bible, or you think the Bible's the dumbest thing on earth, watch the Biblical Flat Earth series, and you'll have a whole new view, no matter what your original view was. Amazing videos in there. I just watched the first 2. That'll do it. That'll do it. And there's so many good ones in there. And you could watch them again and again and again. They're that good. There's also books, but the most important thing that I want to show you is the little handshake, right? Okay. I click that puppy, and up come. These are the flat earthers that are just near me.
Oh, it's like a day site. Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
Right. And so I can tap on a blue dot and I could send that person a message. If I hit that, bam, up comes the messenger, and I can send that person a message. I can also, that circle you see, I have that set for 50 kilometers. And at 50 kilometers, there's 228 people in that circle. I can hit that 228 on the upper left, and I can send a group message to all of them. Hey, we're all meeting at the little pub Saturday, 4 p.m., drink specials, whatever. And you have an instant meetup.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I can think of so many podcast creators, producers, whoever, who could use this kind of thing. I mean,
yeah,
it's fantastic.
And so people...
My conspiratorial brain tells me that this is so that the government can keep an eye on all of the...
They don't need my app to keep an eye on you. They already know where you are. They already know what you're doing. They already know what you're thinking. And if you notice on the right, the circle, that's called the approximate location. That's the default location. It puts you within 5 miles of where you are. Okay. I could hit the off button, and that takes me right off the map. Or I could hit the top button to show my exact location. Why would I want to show? I don't mind showing my exact location, but like, let's say I go down to Florida, whatever, and I'm going out. I'm in town. I'm going to go get something to eat. Well, let me look around and see. Oh, look, there's 5 flat earthers over in this bar or this restaurant. I'll go in there. I'll message them. I'm like, yo, boom. Because every blue dot is your best friend. Trust me. You have more in common with every blue dot on here than you do that any dating site, any random person you'll meet will ever happen. If I hit the little flag, let's say I type in United Kingdom, boom, it takes me right over to the United Kingdom.
Oh my gosh.
And the reason you don't see dots everywhere is because processing power. So if I want to see what's over here, I just move it, and then it'll fill in what's in there. Okay.
I think this should be a best friend app. Should be an app. You shouldn't call it Flat Earth app. Call it your best friend app, because this is what you're going to find.
Here's the thing: we're all flat earthers. I'm sticking with Flat Earth because this is the Flat Earth app. Somebody wants to take this framework and do it for hockey players, whatever, gymnastics, whatever you want. Feel free. We can talk about that. But there's people getting together. There's people getting married already because of this. There's new best friends. There's groups, 30, 40 people that are meeting, every first Sunday of every month, and they found each other using the app. If I hit the target button, bam, takes me right back home.
That's amazing. Amazing. Have you found a lot of, are you surprised by your reach, Dave? Are you surprised at how many people are seeing things the way you do? Or are you proud? I mean, how do you feel about that?
I feel good. I mean, I didn't do this for the money. I'm not here to sell apps. I'm here to give you a tool that'll wake you up. If you want to research Flat Earth, go ahead, spend 500 hours. That's, several weeks worth of your time. And you'll probably find 2 or 3 hours of good content and a bunch of crap because of the way the algorithms work. Search anything you want with Flat Earth in it, and you'll get the same results every single time. Because the algorithm says, oh, feed them Simon Dan, feed them Behind the Curve on Netflix, feed them, Professor Dave. That's the #1 hit. And these are all paid shills, bad information.
When I've done it, all I've gotten is like Flat Earth Society, which I is like BS. You know what I mean? What are your thoughts on the Flat Earth Society?
Obama plugged the Flat Earth Society half a dozen times during his speeches. Flat Earth Yeah, he did. He goes, we don't have time for a meeting of the Flat Earth Society. They want you to go there. Because if you go there, it's like flat earthers think that the earth is rising at 9.8 meters per second, that we're a disc in space.
And back thing, yeah.
And none of this is, no flat earther thinks this, okay? So they want you to, if you go there, you'll end up going, flat earth is stupid and all flat earthers are stupid. They don't want you looking into it. So
what's the appropriate model to consider when you're getting into Flat Earth? Because some people listening might not have ever heard of this, or have they've heard of it in the media. And so what is, I guess, if you had to sell it to me, Dave, right now, or whoever's listening, what is the model that you would adapt?
Well, so we don't have a perfect map, but our map, the AE map or the Gleason's map is a map that's used for navigation. It is a map that works well with the clock, and it is way, way, way better than the globe. Look at the current Time magazine cover They have it set up like The Economist, where one of these encoded covers, and one of them is a weird Earth, kind of looks a little flat, and it says a new, better map of the Earth on Time magazine cover right now. Okay, so what is the Earth? We're not a disk floating in space. We're the basement of the universe. That's how I describe it. We're at the foundation of the universe. Don't ask me what's underneath it, because I'll ask you what's inside your ball, and you don't know. All right, and we live in the Antarctic basin. Large bodies of water at rest need a container, period. Okay? If you have a pond or a lake, the edge of the lake is where the land is higher than the water. Lower that land and the water will just run out and go somewhere else. Okay? Antarctica is the highest land on Earth. It's the land that surrounds our world pond. Antarctica is not a continent at the bottom of the ball, 13,000 miles around. It's the land that surrounds our world 60 to 80,000 miles around. Okay. Well, wait, let me think about that. Why don't we just sail a boat around Antarctica to prove that it's Antarctica? It's because you can't. Captain Cook tried it. Was the last one to try it. It took him 3.5 years, and he went over 60,000 miles trying to circumnavigate Antarctica.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Is that his path?
That's his path, essentially.
Wow.
So here's the thing. What people don't realize, people say, well, I can leave New York and head east and end up back in New York, and I'll go dead east the whole way. That is absolutely true. And here's how it works. Here's my compass. North Pole's at the center of the flat Earth. I'm trying to push my compass west, but I have to keep turning it to the right because I have to keep that needle pointing towards the center. West is right here on the compass. I gotta just keep going. West is a circle. Okay. East is a circle, but that's the same on a flat Earth and a globe Earth. If you were on a globe, you're 1 mile from the North Pole. So your right arm's pointing to the North Pole. You want to walk east. I got to walk east, but I got to keep turning till my right arm stays pointing towards the North Pole. 3.14 miles later, I'm right back to where I started from at a dead reckoning of east, 90 degrees or 270 west. And I'm right back to where I started from. Here, I'm dead reckoning, and I didn't turn, and all of a sudden I'm heading south, right? I started going west, but as soon as I started moving, I'm going south. Every straight line is south. Point in any direction, you're pointing south.
Wow.
Every direction is south. Even if you're pointing north, like right here, I'm going south. And if the Earth was a ball, I should magically pop up over here. But nobody has circumnavigated south ever. Now I'm going north, 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 north. And oops, see the compass just did a 180. Now I'm heading south.
Yeah.
And I'm still going in a straight line. Every direction, every straight line is south.
Wow. I guess that makes sense. And you mentioned 3.14, and does Earth being flat negate mathematics? I don't think it does.
No, math is real.
Yeah.
I think it's real.
Well, it's also racist, so shame on you. But no, that's something I've been a lot of, those theoretical physicists. I don't know why that's something they didn't argue. Maybe they did. I don't know. But I think math works.
Here's some math for you. The math on the Raptor, the SR-71, is this thing better be fucking aerodynamic to go Mach 3.2, right?
Right.
Mach 3.2. Any faster, it rips apart because of its non-aerodynamic. It can't go any faster. Aerodynamicity. That's a word. And looks pretty good. This hunk of junk goes 10 times faster. 10 times faster than this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
And you look at, I've seen like the I don't know if it's the NASA museum, but I've seen pieces of the quote unquote, because the Challenger, I don't remember which one, shattered, fell apart over Texas. So that was a big, I remember that vividly when I was younger. People finding body parts in their yard and things like that. And so
those are made up stories because there were no bodies on there. 6 of the 7 have all of a sudden have identical twins that all work for universities. Okay. Same birthday, same name. And when confronted, they go, no, that was my identical twin brother or sister. Okay. With the same name, right? One of them used their middle name, changed it, whatever. But most of them have the same name. So, all right, maybe NASA likes hiring twins because they can check their bone density. Hey, you went to space, you didn't, right? Okay, cool story, bro. But that's not true. none of them showed up at their siblings' funerals.
Yeah, good point. Yeah. And
Okay.
maybe it wasn't the Challenger. There was another one, because 1986, that was before my time. There was another one that was destroyed over Texas. Maybe it was Discovery, because I remember
it was one of them. But again, just know that nobody was on those rockets. Nobody is on those rockets ever. Yeah. Nobody's ever been to space.
You look at SpaceX, Blue Origin, all these rich billionaires going up, and Will Shatner, which I think is a joke, going up in space. I mean, what do you think? Here's my opinion on these billionaires making rockets. That rocket right there looks like a giant dick. I think these guys are compensating for something. So they're literally trying to fuck the universe with their giant dicks,
Well, they're actually trying to fuck us. But I'm showing you, this is watch how many edits. We're on 3 already. Okay. 4, right? And this is all CGI. Again, no smoke trail. Oh,
that's fake as fuck.
Angle. Yeah. Look at this. What the hell is this? Where's the smoke? And then look at this. We're at 6 cuts. And then there was a little glitch where the top of the rocket disappeared like the other rocket.
Yeah, I didn't see it.
Okay. Watch right on the tip. Right there. So I'll zoom in.
It opened up.
Watch.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Again.
With the background. Yeah.
Yeah. CGI glitch. So all of these, these billionaires in space, Bezos and Brandon, right? This is a 0G plane, right? They always have a girl with long blonde hair flipping around. These people are on a 0G plane. You know what 0G plane is, right?
Where they drop, right?
That does a parabolic arc, and you get up to 40 seconds of weightlessness. But all of the clips that they gave us, you never see more than 5 seconds of weightlessness. Richard Branson is literally seatbelted in. He's about to throw up because they call it the vomit comet for a reason. And so he's just in there. They have the girls flipping around, and then he comes in on his glider and goes, "Yeah, I was just in space." This is a 0G plane. These people are on a 0G plane, and they're having their 20 to 40 seconds of free fall, and they're floating around. And that's all they did, is they filmed it in a 0G plane.
Yeah, I know. I've seen some videos of like NASA always, like every day they do like a live stream from the ISS. And there's this one in particular, I'm sure you have it in stock, of the wire attached where the guy like
where he grabs the wire. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
The other with the Bezos rocket, they always film it, and the cameraman has a very unsteady hand in the vertical motion, not the sideways motion, a vertical motion. What are they suggesting here?
Oh God.
Okay. It's ridiculous. Okay. They're literally children. Crazy, right?
Yeah, they look like giant dicks. I've said that from the beginning with Tesla's rocket, all these they look like giant dicks. I mean, that one even has a vein going down the end of it. I mean,
right.
It's, and I think you said it best. They're fucking us with this nonsense. I mean, first, like being a skeptic, as a skeptic, on the launch pad, it looks legit. But as soon as that goes above the first camera view, and it does that from a drone or something, the camera goes up like this and follows it. That's completely fake. The naked eye can tell that's CGI. I mean, see this. I mean, thank you for bringing this, because I think I watched one of the Tesla rockets recently where they went to the ISS or something like a few months ago, and I was just like, it didn't make any sense. It made zero sense.
Wait, and just SpaceX the other day, there's 3 guys are laying in there really tight, and they're looking at iPads, a wall of fucking screens. There's no window, there's no nothing, and you have to. That's all they show us, right? It's like in a studio, and then behind them on the wall is the toilet with a little curtain that wraps around it. What? They're gonna go and do their business right there, and in space. Shit's gonna fly all over the place to be.
Yeah, they gotta suck.
But they're always playing with their food in this disgusting environment. It's absolute insanity. It's absolute insanity.
So like I said, I was an actor. I went to acting school, and I did a little. I had a lighting professor who, a genius of his craft. He can light any stage, make it look beautiful, can make it look like daytime, nighttime, whatever. And he's actually the first one who brought this up to me about the lighting on the moon landing. I was not super convinced on the moon landing, and he said you should look into this moon landing because he kind of knew I was skeptical about things. He goes, the shadows don't make, and this is a professor of lighting. He spent his entire career studying lights, and he said the shadows on the moon don't make any sense. If you have a singular light source, the sun, you should not have shadows going in different directions. He says it doesn't make any physical, logical sense.
And also the lighting on the moon. How can this moon look this bright from Earth? Right? Yeah. When you're out on a full moon night, which is tonight, by the way, you should watch the eclipse tonight. Longest eclipse in 600 years.
Is it tonight or tomorrow night?
It's tonight. It's at 1 a.m. Eastern. No, 4 a.m. Eastern will be the full eclipse. 4 a.m. Eastern.
Okay. I just heard it. So my mom said
it's tonight. It's tonight. But it's tonight. And this would cast a shadow. You go out in a full moon, you can read by it in the middle of nowhere, right?
Yeah.
So how is this dusty, dirty ball sending light to Earth that's getting dimmer and dimmer as it spreads? Because light spreads. The inverse square law says every time you double the distance, it's 1/4 of the brightness. How does this look like that on Earth? Game over.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Game over.
So go back to that vagina picture you had. I was curious about that.
That was, where was that? That was SpaceX.
Yeah.
SpaceX and Virgin. This is Blue Horizon and Virgin, right? This is Richard Branson and this is Jeff Bezos. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. That looks pretty fucking ridiculous to me. And this is all about, fertilization and they're, if you understood what this world is, the sun and the moon and space, it's literally a reproductive system.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, I think, I don't know if it was a NASA scientist or someone, they said the Earth is a closed system. It's a closed system. And like you said earlier,
there's no place to go. Bill Nye, the lion guy with the bow tie.
Yeah.
Said that.
Yeah. That we can't go anywhere else. We're stuck here.
That's revelation of the method. They always tell us at one point, and then they just, they just said that. And
I'm personally, I think you need to go on Joe Rogan. Fuck that Neil deGrasse Tyson guy.
Yeah.
He's been on there way too much. I think.
Well, Joe Rogan is a sellout bitch. Okay, I'll say it. He was the poster boy for we didn't go to the moon. There's no way. He was breaking it down. He was getting big. Then he went on vacation. He came back. He had a huge contract for Joe Rogan Explores Everything. He had Neil deGrasse Tyson on, and then he's like, "There's no way they faked it." Okay, right? He sold out. He sold his soul. I even have video of him saying he'd lie to his mother. He'd lie to his mother. He let him know the truth. Whatever. He'll lie to his mother. Well, he's lying to all of us right now, and he's lost his relevance because he's so full of shit. Every time the elite need him to push something, they have him on. They bring on guests. His whole fucking thing with ivermectin or whatever is just to divide people. It wasn't like him. Oh, he's the truth. He's fighting big pharma. Everybody knows already, right?
Yeah.
And it's literally just to start more and more division. He'll never have me on because I'll destroy him.
I agree. I agree 100%. And do you think this divide and conquer? Do you think the biggest? Where do you think that starts? Do you think it starts with flat Earth, the biggest divide? I mean, because most people would be like, oh no, whatever, they're not divided on it. But do you think that's where it starts?
No, it starts, they divide us. All the divisions of countries is fake. They divide us by, color, by race, by sex, by gender. They're dividing the genders now. They're dividing, sports teams, political party. They're dividing us every way possible. Okay. Earth is flat. It's not flat. They love us fighting about it. Okay. Mm-hmm. But they just divide. Because the more we're divided, the more we're fighting, the more we're in low energy, the more we're in fear, the more we think there's lack, the less powerful we are. They don't want us to know that we don't have to listen to them. Right. The only power anyone has over us is the power is in your own imagination. Right. If I told you to, throw all those books on the floor, and you did it, well, you're an idiot, okay? Well, because I don't have any power over you, but if you thought I did, maybe you would do it. I don't know.
Yeah.
So they don't want us to know that because it's over the second that we do. And flat Earth wakes people up. Every one of those blue dots knows that they're not, they don't have to listen. They know they've all unplugged from the matrix.
Yeah.
And if flat Earth goes mainstream, the elite are done. They're finished. The governments are done. They have no power, zero power, because everyone will lose the illusion. It's like a magician. They're all magicians. They are magicians, right? This is all wizardry. And if you go to a magician and you know how the tricks are done, you're not impressed. You're like, you didn't get me. It's the same thing with the governments. They're magicians. Okay. And if everyone sees through the trick, it's over. They have no power over you.
Yeah. Yeah. It reminds me of that movie, The Prestige. Yeah. Another great movie. But yeah. And you mentioned, the earlier, and I just want to bring up a few points before we wrap it up here about that woman who was said she was taught flat Earth in school. You've talked to Deplorable Janet a few times before, correct?
I believe so.
Yeah, it was like a year ago, I want to say.
Yeah.
She tells me that when she, and she's not that old, she's probably in her 50s, I guess, but she said when even she was in school, she was being taught flat Earth. I mean, and then like 1 year she went off for summer, and then she came back, and boom, they had a globe in the classroom. You know what I mean?
Right.
And
it has been changed. It was changed, in most places in America in the 30, 20, flipping in the 20s, 30s, and 40s. But even the Encyclopedia Americana from 1959 talks about a dome over Antarctica and talks about the height of the dome at 85 degrees south. And but those encyclopedias are gone. You can't get them anymore. So
you mentioned the dome. And so for my co-host who couldn't make it tonight, talking about the biblical argument for flat Earth, the firmament, the dome, the glass about it. What are your thoughts in regards to, I mean, in Genesis, it talks about the firmament separating the waters from the waters. There's a theory that space is actually a liquid around us. I don't know. So what are your thoughts on that?
I think it's water with fish and everything. But is there a dome? Well, what do you call a dome? Does it have to be physical? Is it physical? Is it hard? I think the Bible says it's steadfast, made of glass. There may be a solid dome. There may be an energetic dome. Think about this. If you watch a pot of water boiling, as the bubble appears on the bottom, now put yourself in that bubble, a little tiny guy. You're on a flat surface. You have a dome over you, and there's water above you.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no physical dome there. There's just pressure. So think about, pressure. Well, if there's water above us, when do we have heavy downpours?
When the water
when there's low pressure.
Yeah, low pressure.
Right? When a hurricane comes in, it's got a low pressure, the center of the hurricane is really low pressure, and rivers of water fall out of the sky and get spread around, right? So yes, rain showers, that's one thing, but heavy downpours, when you have these massive floods, right? Water is coming in from the heavens above. Is it coming from a slightly other dimension? I'm not even sure how it does. But, I've flown through clouds. You can fly through clouds, right? But the amount of water that comes out of them, trillions of pounds of water just floating in the air?
Yeah.
Okay.
And
low pressure.
It looks like
a
hole opens in the sky. I mean,
yeah.
Insane.
Yeah.
So, I was just curious on your thoughts as to the biblical arguments with the firmament and things like that. In that documentary that he shows a Tesla flight where it looks like it's a boat riding on a wake. It's creating a wake as it goes through the water.
The SpaceX. And it looks like a boat. Absolutely. So
look at all the movies about like portals and things, and then someone touches the portal and it ripples like water. I mean, who knows? And I was just curious as to your thoughts about it. I don't think we'll ever know. I really don't. I don't think
I do. I think we will know, and I think we'll know pretty soon.
You think?
Have you seen the new movie with Ryan Reynolds called something guy?
The new guy?
Is it new guy or
a free guy?
Free guy. No, I haven't. It's a flat Earth movie. It's a flat Earth movie. Check it out.
I wanted to take my girlfriend to see it, and we didn't end up going, but I'm going to rent it this week.
You can just rent it. It's a funny movie. And, I don't watch very much TV, but I do watch stuff that is flat Earth related, and that is one.
Right, because it kind of relates to the simulation. You know what I mean? Where there's a kind of going back to the Matrix. So do you think the simulation theory is possible as it relates to flat Earth? Maybe?
I think we're in a physical simulation. And right now, they're literally trying to plug us into the Matrix, right? They're putting stuff on our body with assembling nanoparticles. I don't know if you're up and aware of that.
Yeah.
They're strapping people into the Facebook is now, what's it
Meta.
called? Meta, the metaverse, right? There's people already lost in virtual reality in this whatever Second Life, whatever. They have their goggles on for 10 hours a day, right? So they're literally plugging us in, and they're getting us used to being plugged in again and again, and a booster, right? So maybe it'll make sense just to have one permanently stuck in your arm, and you really don't need to go anywhere because you can do everything in the metaverse, and they can hook a catheter up to you, so you don't have to go to the bathroom anymore. I mean, it's literally getting that sick.
Yeah.
Right. But they're Gates has a patent for a cryptocurrency generated by your body.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I've seen that. That's ridiculous. Yeah. And the whole plug-in thing kind of reminds me of that Sylvester Stallone movie. I can't remember what it's called, where he one of the big scenes of the movie is he's like hooking up with this girl. He like ends up in this world, and like they're trying to fuck or whatever. And she's like, he like goes to touch her, and she's like, whoa, what are you doing? And she just puts these goggles on his head, and they like have sex in their mind. You know what I mean? It's like the most orgasmic thing ever. I don't remember what the movie is, but I mean, that's where it's
that's where they're going with it. They don't want us. Yeah.
They want, in my opinion, they want us dead. They want us all to die. Right. And I'm sure you feel the same way.
Yeah, listen, I gotta go. Any final questions?
No, I was just gonna wrap it up. I was gonna say, Dave, thank you so much for taking the time to come on. I really do appreciate it.
No problem.
To plug, now's your opportunity, man. I do appreciate you so much.
So the app is $3. You're buying me a beer. That's it, and one-time charge. If you want to be able to, you get the friend finder with it. You can receive messages, but if you want to be able to send messages, it's 99 cents a month or $11 for the year. Again, that's a margarita and your shitty tip for the bartender. Okay. So, but you don't need to, you still get everything else. So enjoy that. And just read the reviews. It's on Apple. It's on Google Play. They're careful. There's no knockoff one on Google Play. Make sure it says Blue Water Bay. It looks like that logo. And I believe tomorrow it's going to be on the Amazon App Store for those of you that don't like Google Play.
Awesome.
That have Androids. So check that out. And if anybody sees this and knows of a show that that needs to learn about flat Earth, hook me up. Send me their info. Send them to my website, flatearthdave.com. Absolutely. And there's a Book Dave link right there.
Awesome. Yeah. And it was super easy to book you, man. We booked you a while back, and you were sick, and it just took me a while to get back on the ball. So, Dave, I appreciate you so much, man. This has been fantastic. A wonderful guest. I would love to have you back sometime, maybe with someone who you can just tear into, someone who is not into flat Earth at all. Because I think
harder and harder to find these days.
It is. I agree. It's getting harder. Yeah. So, Dave, thank you so much. I appreciate you, and I will let you know when this goes out. I'll send you a message, but thank you so much, man. This was an honor.
All right, man. Thanks. See you.
Appreciate it.
Bye.
What you just said is one of the most